Welcome back to the VST channel. The Xiaomi 14 Ultra is here on my review table together with the Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra. You might have seen this video is going to be all about performance and testing and why we have here both phones. Well, these two phones both share the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3. So I will take the chance to test the performance, some benchmarks on the Xiaomi 14 Ultra, and in parallel I'm going to also run the same apps, same benchmark, same test on the Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra just to see how these two phones compare. I'm not using any cases on the phones and it's time to measure some temps. We have 25 Celsius running on the Samsung and 29 on the Xiaomi 14 Ultra. Both phones rested. This is the reality. The Xiaomi 14 Ultra is running just a tiny bit hotter. I am running the latest software. It's 1041 on the Xiaomi HyperOS and the One UI 6.1 AXBG with the security patch level from March. Now it's time to check the main hardware specs. We have the 8 Gen 3 running on both of these phones. They both have 12 GB, it's LPDDR5X. They both use the same 4 cluster setup, and the only difference is the clock of the main core, which is the Cortex X4. In the Xiaomi 14 Ultra, the X4 is clocked at 3.3 GHz, and in the S24 Ultra, the Cortex X4 is clocked at 3.4 GHz. So we have a higher clock here. All the other cores, you can just see they're running and they're using the same frequency. The GPU in both of them is the Adreno 750, should be able to go up to 1 GHz. Now let's close all the apps and I'm gonna be starting with a Geekbench 6 just to see the first results, and hopefully guys we're gonna be getting some close results. I really hope that both phones will be equal, but let's check. 26.8 on the Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra, 28.3 starting temperature on the Xiaomi 14 Ultra. And here are the scores. Let's check the end results in temperature. 31.8 for the S24 Ultra, 32.4 for the Xiaomi 14 Ultra. The Xiaomi 14 Ultra achieved a single core score of 2119. The single core score of the Galaxy S24 Ultra is 2236, so it's higher. The multi-core score though is a different story here. Multi-core score 6790, here 6417, which is actually not that bad. That's the first Geekbench run on my Xiaomi 14 Ultra, and you can check here some of the scores I got with the S24 Ultra since the moment I got it. Now I will just allow the phones to cool down a bit, and we're going to be starting with the 3D Mark Extreme stress test, in which I'm very interested to see only one thing, if the Xiaomi is actually going to even make it through the stress test, because yeah, we've seen some things in the past. I really hope that it will be able to go through the whole test 20 loops, and then we're going to be comparing the results. Alright, the phones had some time to recover. Now let's check the baseline starting temps. 29.3 for the S24 Ultra and 28.4 for the Xiaomi 14 Ultra. By the way, the Xiaomi only lost 1% of a battery while running Geekbench, and the S24 Ultra was able to lose 3%. Is the Xiaomi gonna be able to even complete the test? And if yes, what are going to be the scores? I'm also going to measure the temp every 5 rounds, so we're gonna have 20 rounds, 20 loops, so every 5 loops I'm gonna be measuring the temps, guys, to just see what the phones are doing. By the way, both of them are not using any special performance mode, it's just the standard mode. We're now at the 5th round, so let's just see. 41.8 Celsius for the Xiaomi 14 Ultra and 39.4 on the S24 Ultra. So the Xiaomi 14 Ultra is running a tiny bit hotter compared to the S24 Ultra. Now let's see what is going to happen in round number 10, if of course both phones survive. And now we are in round number 10. So the Xiaomi has already 47 Celsius, which is quite a lot, and the S24 Ultra 40. One more time, just to be sure, 46.6, so indeed the Xiaomi is running hotter, 41.5 for the S24 Ultra. Now, will this result into a better performance? Will the Xiaomi 14 Ultra lose also more battery? Let's hope that the Xiaomi is able to survive another 10 rounds, and then we're gonna compare the results. We have now reached round number 15, so the Xiaomi has a whooping 50.3, which is absolutely insane, and the S24 Ultra only 41. Also, something guys very important, due to the fact that the Xiaomi 14 Ultra has a very huge bumper, the body of the phone is in the air a bit, so this means that the Xiaomi 14 Ultra in theory should be able to cool more efficiently. The S24 Ultra has a very small bump and it lays almost flat on my review table, which means that the Xiaomi 14 Ultra has this tiny advantage. One more time to measure the crazy temps, 50.6 Celsius. So kids, don't try this at home, let me do this, alright? This is too much for a phone. And here guys, 41.6. So I'm not sure if the S24 Ultra is throttling a bit, we're gonna be seeing the results later, but the Xiaomi 14 Ultra is running absolutely unhinged, so I'd expect really to beat the S24 Ultra. But will that happen? We're gonna see in another 5 rounds. We are now at the final round number 20. 51 Celsius for the Xiaomi 14 Ultra, 41.3, so 10 Celsius difference. This is really a lot. I call this unhinged. A lot of the Chinese phones are doing like this. I'm not sure if that's related to just benchmarks. S24 Ultra runs 10 degrees lower, so I kind of expect that the S24 Ultra will have a lower score. But think about it in terms of longevity and in terms of using your phone for multiple years. This might be the better trouble management, because 41 is still a lot. 43, 44 we've seen the S23 Ultra can reach, but above 50 is really too much. But hey, because it's a benchmark, we're trying to push the limits to see what those chips and implementation in the various vendors can get us, which combines RAM, which combines storage, and also cooling efficiency. And with that said guys, we now have the final results. Alright, so will the Xiaomi be able to finally, oh my god, the Xiaomi is absolutely burning my hand, and I am absolutely not exaggerating guys. This is really crazy. I almost barely can touch it. Let's do one more final reading here. 50.8 Celsius, it's really a lot, and 40.3 on the S24 Ultra. Now, the best loop score, 4880 on the Xiaomi 14 Ultra, the S24 Ultra 4894. So here in terms of best loop score, definitely a win by the S24 Ultra. The lowest loop score guys is 6094, which results into a rather low stability rating, 55%. The Xiaomi 14 Ultra lowest loop score 3559, and stability rating just so high, 72.9. Now we've seen some things like 90%. I even have some tests outside in freezing temperatures. You can get really up to like almost 100%, but this here is 24 Celsius ambient, so it's real result. And the Xiaomi 14 Ultra really won this test. I expected this to happen just because the Xiaomi was running 10 degrees Celsius higher than the S24 Ultra. But now let's just see guys the performance graph under low. We see a rather smooth graph here on the S24 Ultra, and also a smooth graph on the Xiaomi 14 Ultra, although here there was a higher drop. What is also important to check guys, what happens in terms of battery. So when we started, we got 97% on the S24 Ultra, we only lost 10%, 87% now. The Xiaomi 14 Ultra, again, I also expected this. We started off with 99% and now we are down to 84%, which always, of course, reminds us that this unhinged performance, really the price you pay is heat, and when there is heat, of course, the battery drops. So this here is the performance range comparing the frame rates from the best and the worst loop. You can just see how it goes. We can also now, guys, put the temperature and the frame rate. So with higher temperature, of course, the frame rate is dropping. Now the Xiaomi 14 Ultra has also a drop here, which is not so nice. And I can also try to do a custom chart with all of these things here. So let me just enable them. We now have the battery that you can see here. We have also the temperature, and you have the frame rate. So we can pretty much expect to see a similar performance from those phones. Now the only thing that differs, of course, the biggest difference is the higher lowest loop score on the Xiaomi 14 Ultra, which narrows the gap and also improves the stability rating, resulting into 72%, almost 73% versus 55%. So if you want to play Genshin Impact for the longer run, maybe the Xiaomi 14 Ultra is able to give you better performance, but you're gonna lose battery and maybe burn your fingers. Alright, now let's allow the phone to cool down and we're going to continue with the GFX Bench. Let's check the temps we have right now. 36 on the Xiaomi 14 Ultra, I would consider this to be normal temp. 30 on the Galaxy S24 Ultra. So this time, guys, I'm gonna start GFX Bench. I have started all tests. Let's just see what we're gonna get at the end. Let's try to take some temp readings. The Xiaomi 14 Ultra already at 44. The Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra 29, 30. This is really incredible, guys. I never seen a gap like this. 43.6 one more time, just to be sure. 30 Celsius. So it seems that the GFX Bench is not putting a lot of strain on the S24 Ultra. And the Xiaomi again is really doing everything unhinged. Let's take another temp reading. Xiaomi 14 Ultra again, 48.6. Nothing here is spared. And only 34 on the S24 Ultra. You can just see with tests like this how different the thermal management on these phones are. And honestly, I do like this one a bit better. But hey, since this is a benchmark video, we want to see really what peak performance is. But for the longer run, with the same performance, this might be a better solution. Here, guys, here we have the famous warning, device overheat at 51.3. It's very interesting to see how not the 3D Mark extreme stress test, but indeed the GFX Bench made the Xiaomi to go crazy and to overheat. Wait until your device cools down to be able to use this feature. And of course, what the Xiaomi is doing right now, it force closes the whole application and immediately the temperature starts dropping. So we can now assume that if the phone goes beyond 51 Celsius, yeah, you might experience this. And honestly, yeah, the surface just by touching it is very, very hot. So the S24 Ultra will finalize this test, but I will not have anything to compare it with. The main star of the show, although, is the Xiaomi 14 Ultra. Not able to do this test. Guys, make sure to watch the second part of the video where I'm going to feature the cross-platform disk test together with the 1 hour extreme torture CPU throttling test with 100 threads, and I really hope that Xiaomi is able to also finalize this. So if I have to recap, the Xiaomi 14 Ultra really runs unhinged. It can get very high results. Good is that it was able to get to the 20 loops of 3D Mark Extreme, but it wasn't good at it wasn't able to finish the GFX Bench, and we started with 36, so the phone kind of like recovered. The battery also that we lost from 100% to 74%, it's also really a lot. S24 Ultra, a bit more stable on thermal management, and the performance of course not so high, resulting into a lower stability index into 3D Mark Extreme Stress, but also is able to finalize all the tests. And also important to say that the S24 Ultra was able to achieve a higher score on the single core score in the Geekbench things, and the Xiaomi 14 Ultra was able to get a higher score on the multi-score. With that said, guys, thank you so much for watching, and again, don't forget to check in the next days for the CPU Extreme Throttling Torture test. VST over and bye.